Okay, hi everyone, I'm Daly,
And I'm Tanley.
and this is our presentation over our article titled Multilingual Services in Audiology and Speech Language Pathology. So the overview, what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about the topic or the purpose of the article, the problem that's discussed, what is known and unknown, how this article relates to other knowledge in our field, and then how we can apply it into audiology and speech pathology, and then we'll wrap it up with our conclusion.
Oh, never mind.
Skip one. Okay, so the topic, the overview of the article was talking about the different services that are available within the field of audiology and speech language pathology for people who are multilingual across all lifespans. So to be considered multilingual, a person can communicate in more than one language, have been exposed to more than one language, or may be learning another language in addition to their main one. And this definition was provided by ASHA on the ASHA website. Something to consider is that a person's proficiency in any of these languages they can use may change over time across different social settings, topics, and additional variables. So they could be proficient at first, but then it could always change later on in life, just if they use that language and other variables like that.
Okay, so the problem. A problem that can occur that is brought up in the article on multilingual service delivery is the challenge to provide effective services to clients who speak languages other than English. So this is an issue because of the limited number of multilingual service providers and the limited number of assessment tools and materials in other languages. We know that there's only around 8% of ASHA certified professionals that identify as multilingual service providers, and this makes it hard to match clients with clinicians who speak their language, which can affect the quality of service. There's also that lack of culturally appropriate assessment tools, so this could lead to a misdiagnosis or incorrect treatment plans for that multilingual individual. And clinicians also need to work with interpreters to help assess that client effectively, and that collaboration requires more training and resources to give accurate communication. So we must focus on these challenges to give clients a fair and effective audiology and speech language pathology service to the diverse populations.
Okay, so what is known? We know that there are culturally and linguistically appropriate services, and these are essential for accurate diagnosis and effective treatment. We also know the best practices are using interpreters, using dynamic assessment strategies, so like using the client's ability to identify areas for continued support rather than the traditional approach that is only fixed on a certain amount of skills. And then remembering the first and second language development and what that role plays in speech production. So making sure that we're not misdiagnosing. And then the third one, there are some legal and ethical guidelines that we need to follow to ensure that all services are equitable and ethical for all multicultural clients. And then what is unknown is the consistency in implementation to ensure that all settings, like schools, hospitals, private practices, etc., that they all apply the practices equally. We also need to fix how are all of our commonly used assessments fair and accurate across languages and cultures, and with that, which intervention and collaboration strategies are most effective for the long-term client outcomes. We don't really know. There's no 100% answer on that. And then finally, are all current SLPs and audiologists prepared and able to serve the multilingual populations? As students get prepared and trained through schooling, what if we are being trained by someone who isn't able to serve these populations? So then when and how will we get the opportunity to become trained? There's kind of just that gap in the training and the ages that could also be a problem. So that's definitely something else to consider.
So this article reinforces the common concepts from multicultural education and clinical practices. It gives links to other cultural responsiveness and collaborations with interpreters, so SLPs can go back and look through what working with other cultures is like. So, for example, we know that this is important that SLPs should use the client's most used language when possible, and this all connects to the difference between language disorders and those language differences. This article also highlights that bilingual SLPs are in a high demand, especially in places with diverse populations, and it brings up challenges with the assessment tools, saying that most are primarily in English-speaking populations, which could lead to a misdiagnosis or for clients who are multilingual. And this article also relates to the legal responsibilities to provide equitable services and avoid those discriminatory practices.
So then relating to that, how can we apply this knowledge to audiology and speech pathology? Multilingualism is a worldwide phenomenon because all places around the world struggle to provide equitable services from across diverse populations. So it's not just a United States issue, it's globally, it's all the time happening everywhere. And international collaboration is growing. So that is definitely a positive with our technology and just research that we know now, is that researchers and clinicians are working together to share tools, adapt assessments, and train multilingual providers. So those were some of the issues that I talked about earlier. One of the benefits is that we can have this international collaboration with others, so that's very helpful for us. In audiology, it's important because there could be difficulties in ensuring accurate hearing screenings across the languages, and the clients need to know what their results are in their preferred language. So we need to make sure that we're not switching it up, because if we're not 100% accurate in the translation or making sure that they're understanding in their preferred language, things could easily get twisted, and that creates a lot of issues, as we can guess. In speech-language pathology, there is a limited availability of standardized assessment tools in multiple language, kind of like I talked about a lot. So this means that clinicians may need to modify or create new materials for these clients. And again, like we both have hit on, there is a huge risk of misdiagnosis if the language differences are mistaken for the disorder. So that is something that we always need to be keeping in mind, and something that I know we talk about a lot in our field.
So wrapping up, the multilingual individuals can be of all ages and from all backgrounds, and their language can vary over time. We can have culturally and linguistically appropriate services that are essential for ethical care, and our field could benefit from more valid assessments, better training, and consistent standards across all settings. There's a huge risk of diagnosis without proper tools and awareness of language differences, and as future professionals, we must advocate for inclusive training and commit to lifelong learning to better serve multilingual communities. The ASHA article on multilingual service delivery highlights challenges and responsibilities when helping diverse populations as SLPs. It highlights topics for cultural competence, the need for appropriate tools, and what we can do as future SLPs or audiologists to help those who are multilingual. It also highlights the need for more multilingual providers to give effective care to clients. This website deepens our understanding of how to provide individualized support to multilingual clients in a respectful manner.
Thank you for listening, and that is our link.